So I wanted to cover some of the issues I saw from the annotated bibliographies and just make sure that we're all on the same page. And that way at the end, when I go to grade them, you won't get a lot of deductions for your references, your citations, and your in-text citations. So a few things that I saw that were kind of troubling were the differences. I wanted to clarify the differences between a scholarly peer-reviewed article and then supporting materials. So I saw a lot of supporting materials. And what are supporting materials? So supporting materials are anything used from Wikipedia, which I did state in a previous video talking about the paper that Wikipedia is not an academic resource. You cannot use Wikipedia. So if you have Wikipedia in your bibliography, that needs to be taken out right away and not used anywhere in your research paper. Secondly, so the second part of dealing with supporting materials is some of you use maybe Huffington Post or BuzzFeed. So don't use those either. I mean, I get, it talks about your topic, you like you're talking about your topic. I mean, you can use them for little things, but don't use that as your supporting argument. The reason I say that is because anyone can write for Huffington Post. Anyone can write for BuzzFeed. Anyone can write for Mashable. It doesn't matter, right? They don't have to have credentials. You can post anything online. A lot of you I saw posted blogs because a doctor wrote it. And okay, yeah, the doctor is in psychology and maybe they know about, a child's attachment in the family, right? But this is where it differs from a scholarly peer-reviewed. That doctor could write anything he wanted, and you would be like, okay, that's correct, but it might not be correct. So a peer-reviewed article has been read by people within the field, and they've given feedback, they've challenged the writer on their claims and their research, and there's checks and balances. So that's to make sure the information you're reading is the actual, legitimate, as close to as possible the information that you can get. So I would say refrain from using those as your main material as well. This is a research paper, and I really want you guys to get used to this research. I understand that it's easy just to type in your topic into Google and take the first 5 things because you think those are just because Google puts them up there does not mean that they're the most reliable, right? You can even try Google Scholar. Google Scholar does bring up a lot of great articles, but if you do Google Scholar, you can also look up those articles in the ODU library database. This database is full of tons of articles on all of your topics. There's not one topic I've read that doesn't have tons of literature and tons of research on it in the ODU library, all in academic journals that have been peer-reviewed. So that's what I really want to see. I really want to see that you've read through and you found some really good academic journals that talk about your topic. If you look at the old video that I posted before this, that I talked about how to walk through it, but down in the comment section or in the description, I will put the link to the ODU library section again, okay? Never pay for a journal article. I know that sometimes when you're looking them up online that you might have to pay for it. Don't do that. Look up in ODU's system first because ODU has likely already bought it. ODU spends so much money on these amazing resources. So that means if ODU's spending the money, they're spending your money. So use your money wisely, use your tuition dollars, and definitely use these services, okay? Another thing, APA citation. I'm not sure where it was the disconnects, where we're talking about APA citation, and I really felt like I was pushing that, and I got a lot of papers that were not anywhere close to APA citation, or even MLA. I think it was like, insert first name here, citation style. I would really like to see you making sure that you guys are citing correctly, because it's really important that we give the authors and these researchers who have put so much time into creating their ideas and putting them out for us to learn, it's good that we cite them correctly, so that way others can go back and look. It also helps for others to go back and look at your research and where you're coming from. They can be like, oh, so so-and-so wrote about this from their perspective, and they use this person's work. So let me go back and look at this person's work so I can see where they're coming from, right? Which is also a great way that you guys can find more resources. If you find a peer-reviewed article and they have tons of resources, look in their bibliography, you will see other things that they've looked at in that topic, and you can use that to kind of help you find other journal articles if you're having trouble finding some on your own. So please make sure you stick to APA citation style. Go to Purdue OWL. I will have the links down below. If you have a lot of questions, let me know. I also noticed, I think there's a couple of things that I noticed for people who did do close to APA citation. First off, if it's all in capital letters, which I know comes from if you're copying and pasting from some of the online articles that ODU has, if you copy and paste from that, it's all in capital letters. So that's wrong. You only capitalize the first letter in the first portion of the article, right? So make sure you fix that. I will take off points if it's all capital letters. Take those extra moments and make sure you do that. Another thing I saw is I think this happens with Son of Citation Machine sometimes. And anything else you're copying and pasting. If you're copying one thing from the internet and pasting it into your Word document, since you're not clicking combine formatting, you're losing the formatting of the citation from the original source, which means you're losing the italicization or the italics of the journal article. So that is not proper APA citation, and I'll take off for that. And I've also noticed that Son of Citation sometimes messes up with putting the parentheses and things like that in, so you need to watch for that. That happened in a lot of the citations I saw. So whenever it has the journal article, the volume number, and the issue number, you need to make sure you have those parentheses around, okay? Another thing that was a little concerning is make sure you actually read the articles. There was a couple articles that I was a little worried about, so just make sure you read those, okay? Hold on one second, guys. Awesome. Sweet. Oh. Here you go. Thank you. Sorry about that. So, yeah, make sure you actually read the material, because sometimes I was reading through some of the articles, and either one, the annotation was really vague, like super vague. So I gather from that, you basically read maybe first couple of lines, and then just kind of made up something, you know? But that doesn't really tell me. So for future reference, an annotated bibliography is supposed to tell me what were the significant findings. So what was found that really supports your claim? And then the second portion is to say, how exactly is that finding going to support your research and the claim that you're trying to make, okay? I really do suggest going to visit the ODU libraries again to gain these articles. Double check your citations before you submit, as well as your in-text citations, and the difference between paraphrasing and quoting. So if you're taking a direct quote, you need to make sure that's in quotation marks, and depending on how you put it into the sentence will depend your in-text citation. So if you don't say anything about the author's name or anything like that, you'll put author's name, comma, page number, okay? In parentheses. So like it's really going to depend. It changes around depending on how you're writing in the paper, okay? So make sure you pay attention to that. Paraphrasing, even if you're paraphrasing, so like changing, you're taking an idea and then you're kind of reformulating it into your own words. And again, like I talked in the previous video, that doesn't mean changing around words. That doesn't mean, using similes. It means literally thinking about it in your perspective. Put it in your words. I don't want to hear what another author has to say. I want to hear what you have to say about it, I want to hear your thoughts on what they found, So make sure you really do it completely, because if there are any issues with plagiarism, it will be a 0, and that's going to really hurt your grade. And we don't want to deal with all that, because that's no fun. That is all that I really saw, though, and I wanted to make sure all of it's cleared up before we get into the final paper writing, and then everyone is like, oh my gosh, what's happening? And it's hard for me, because I'd rather spend more time reading your papers and your argument as opposed to fixing your citations and telling you what's wrong, okay? So yeah, if you have any questions, please email me, or you can tweet me, whatever you feel comfortable with. We can talk on the phone. We can email back and forth depending on your question. But yeah, just make sure you ask before we get too close to the due date. Thanks so much, guys, and have a good one.